What's your name and where you from?
Oh, my name is Kim Griffin. I'm from Vicksburg, Mississippi.
Okay.
AKA King Kim.
Okay. So let's start from the beginning. What was it like growing up in Vicksburg, Mississippi?
Oh, just like in any other rural area, you know what I'm saying, where you have limited access and everything's just caught up inside of a vicious cycle where, a lot of poverty, a lot of drinking, a lot of, dope dealing and a lot of people's hustling and different things like that in the territory that I grew up in. And, back when I was growing up in the 70s here in Vicksburg, Mississippi, in the Marcus Bottom, which Marcus Bottom was one of the most notorious areas in Vicksburg, Mississippi history. So we seen a lot of crime, a lot of deaths, seen a lot of shootings and different things like that growing up during my childhood.
Yeah. Did you have both parents growing up?
Yeah, I had both parents growing up. That was a factor, but me being so much of a person that wanted to be on my own and, want to get out and about and see what's going on in the world. I used to run away from home a lot and things like that and deal with my cousin. We did a little stints of stealing bicycles from Western Auto, things like that which end up eventually sending me to juvenile detention and eventually to training school for stealing motorcycles and bicycles and stuff like that when I first was growing up.
Yeah. So what type of kid were you?
Well, I was a very smart. The teachers used to tell me I was very smart. I didn't have to basically do the things that I was doing. But, I guess me being attracted to the streets and a lot of things that was going on out there, I chose the streets over anything else. I was a good kid growing up, you know what I'm saying? My childhood, I had everything that I wanted. My father made sure that he provided for me each and everything that I asked for during the Christmas time, my birthday time, and things like that. I just was disobedient to the point where I just wanted to just be out and about and hang with my friends.
Yeah.
I started going to the club at the age 11 and 12 years old after I did my second stint in Columbia Training School in Mississippi.
Okay. So was it just like a rush or just fun? Like you weren't like really going through a struggle to have to, be out there in the streets?
Well, it was more considered as freedom. I don't want to make it look fair seeming to the youngsters that's growing up now, but during the time when I was growing up, the truth, just the truth. A lot of things that I wasn't able to do at home, I was able to do it in the streets because I had no one looking over me because everybody was in correlation with one another for us doing things in the street. We was with one another. We ain't have to have nobody tell us, man, stop smoking that cigarette, stop drinking this, stop doing this, stop doing that. Everybody was doing the same thing. So we didn't hear no discipline or no no's or nothing like that, during that time.
Okay. So you said you spent 31 years in prison?
Yeah, I did 31 years in prison at the age 19. Well, eventually, like I said, I went to training school and eventually turned from the life of petty crime, stealing and dealing with a couple stints of auto theft. I went to start, indulging in simple assaults, aggravated assaults, different things like that. And I eventually got put down, with an organization, with a gang, and eventually rose up through the ranks of that and started becoming in a leadership position. And crack epidemic hit, and I started selling crack and started making a lot of money. I was working at the job Shoney's at the time. I quit Shoney's just to sell crack, and and I went on from there. And I encountered an individual, who was trying to pull a move on the crack at the age 19 in 1991, March 26th, and which caused me to take another man's life.
Yeah. So that day, like, did you think that you would get away with it, or like, what was like that day that you got caught?
I never thought that I was gonna get away with it because when I did it, I threw the pistol down. You know what I'm saying? I didn't care if the folks got me right then and there. You know, I was just that angry because I had been in and out of jail, been to training school multiple times. So it was like prison wasn't nothing. You know, whatever they gonna do, they just got to do it. So, but my partners, them, they were telling me, man, come on, man, let's go, let's go, let's go. You know, so I finally left the scene of the crime, come on to the house. You know, they came, picked me up the next morning, you know, and took me down to the police station and arrested me for murder. But, you know, I didn't care if I got locked up or not at that time, you know, because I had already knew the system, you know, so it wasn't nothing threatening to me or nothing like that.
Yeah. So once you arrived at prison, did you think it was like all over and like that you would never get out again?
Well, you know, when they gave me a life sentence, I remember recalling, looking back at my mother and telling my mother, I don't worry about it. I'll be back home, you know. So, but I never knew it was going to take 31 years for me to return back home. I stayed in the prison system from the age 19 until the age 50. I missed all my 20s, I missed all my 30s, and I missed all my 40s, you know. And if I can turn back the hands of time now, I'd do it differently. But at the time, you know, it was just like, it was the norms. It was what was going on at the time. You know, trying to be this hardcore gangster, you know, trying to show everybody that I'm bad about it, you know what I'm saying? Or at the point of no return, you know what I'm saying? Don't give a damn about it, how it turned out, if how it turned out, this and that, you know. So I went on into the prison system, man, and once I got there, you know, it was just like I had been there already. Like I said, I had already been in and out of training school and in and out the county jail. So when I got to prison, the only thing I had to do was just make a few minor adjustments.
Yeah. Did you deal with any like racism in there?
Well, you know, 90% of the prison population is black, even the correctional officers and officers. I didn't feel like I dealt with no form of racism in prison, no further than trying to leave prison, you know, because that's who basically was controlling your fate and your destiny getting out is the parole board. And parole board at that time and parole board was predominantly white, you know, and it was some form of discrimination because we used to always say, well, they letting the white guys make parole faster than the black guys. They hold us 30, 40 years before we make parole. They let the white guys make parole 17, 16, and 14 years. A few individuals or minorities slip through, but for the most part, that's the only time that I felt that I was subject to some form of racism is when it came to me trying to make parole and getting out.
Yeah. Okay. So being in there for 31 years, what's one of the worst, you know, situations that you saw and that probably affects you today?
Well, one of the worst situations that I seen that affected me was a gangbanging between G's and vice lords. You know what I'm saying? And I seen a person get his head almost cut off. I seen a person was almost dismembered. You know what I'm saying? Seen death. Seen a person with a broomstick stuck all the way through him, laying in the middle of the floor. Couldn't nobody get to him. People throwing TVs, setting fires and riding and things like that, you know, at one another, you know. So that was one of the worst scenarios I seen. There was blood at every camp, and especially the zone that I was on. You know, people's losing eyeballs and getting their guts cut out and different things like that. So at that point, you know, it was a couple more incidents that I was in. You know, I was involved in a prison death myself, you know, stayed in the hole for 2.5, 3 years for a homicide in prison, but they eventually let us go.
Wow. You said you were involved in the death? In the death?
Yeah, I was involved in the prison murder.
Yeah.
You know, back in 1995. And they eventually, you know, kept us in the hole. It was no more about me and my other guy. You know, I'd rather not call a name, but that's on file, prison file. You know, it ain't nothing that I can incriminate myself on. And they put us in the hole for 3.5 years, almost 4 years, and they let us go. I was not charged with it. He was not charged with it. You know what I'm saying? So they let us back into general population.
Okay. How would you say you survived through prison, you know, the whole 31 years?
Well, to be honest, I survived through prison through my ability to fight, my ability to always work out and be strong, because prison is like the law of the jungle. Only the strongest and the brutal survive. You know, by me being right at 200, grow from 250 to about 285, 290 pounds, you know what I'm saying, rocked up, you know, kept me 2 nights. I was willing to kill as well as the next man was willing to kill, you know, with no remorse, you know, at the time in order for to survive. So, you know, I survived through my ability to steadfast in the face of all adversity. You know, hold no bar, no fear, no nothing. You know, live like it. You know what I'm saying? Live like you live.
Yeah. So for some guys who don't really understand prison, because they're out here, they're like doing crimes and things of that sort. Anything you want to say to them people who don't really understand?
Yeah. You know, prison is not no place for no one to go. Prison is just a place where you go after you commit a crime. But if you can prevent from making a careless mistake or making the wrong choice in life and end up going to somebody's penal system, institution, prison, or whatever you want to call it, penitentiary, try not to do that, because like I said, you can lose your life in prison. Prison is not like people's put on the internet, they cooking and enjoying life, this and that. You know, there's just a lot of things that them guys doing. So don't be fooled by the hype. If you can get yourself together, go to school, get your education, things like that. But like I said, because if I can turn back the hands of time, it's nowhere in the world I would have been, wouldn't have did no 31 years in prison. I could have did 31 years on somebody else's job and be retiring right now as a legitimate citizen with a good 401k, good credit, good social security and things like that. You know, and I advise a lot of people who's indulging in criminality to step away from criminality. You know, step away from recidivism, step away from individuals who don't have nothing to offer you but crime and trouble. Listen to your parents, listen to positive leaders, listen to positive messages and things like that. You know, and try to stay on the right track, stay in school, get into the sports if that's what you want to play, get into your academics, get off into your studies, try to become an entrepreneur or anything, you know, anything that'll keep you away from the life of crime.
Yeah. Does any of the habits that you've grown in those 31 years in prison, do you still have any of those habits today?
Oh, no. Them habits, I left them habits behind when I left prison. Once I was liberated, once I made parole, I went through the programs and everything that it took for me to make parole. I finally got a chance to make parole. I'm out here now on a life sentence on parole. I've been working ever since I've been out. I've been had a job ever since I've been out. I've been having transportation ever since I've been out. And I have my own house, as you see where I'm at now. I have my own house, I have my own roof over my head, and I pay my own bills. I'm one of the most humblest individuals at this time that you can say. Regardless of what my life was, all the bangings, all the gang bangings I was involved in, all the stabbings I was involved in, stabbing, getting stabbed, killing, almost being killed, you know. So after living that type of life, going through all the ramifications of that, almost death-like experiences a few times throughout the course of my 31 years, I'm a changed individual, I would say. I'm more humble. I'm more respectful of a person. And I try to stay away from all forms of trouble. You know, anything that'll brought me back into the life of aggression, you know. So they say that me shall inherit the earth. So that's what I'm doing now, just working and just staying humble.
Yeah. So with almost being killed, was that a prison fight?
Yeah, prison fights. I almost got killed by guards. I challenged the guards one time, got into it with the security force known as K9, ERT, Emergency Response Team, and refused to come out my cell. And they had to come up and get me, and almost left me for dead. They bust my eardrums, fractured 2 of my ribs, and, you know, and messed my shoulder up. I had to have arthroscopic surgery on my shoulder. You know, they had told my roller cup, you know, so, and just a lot of things like that. And, you know, I got stabbed multiple times and I almost lost my life because my lung almost got punctured. and I lost a lot of blood, and I survived that.
Yeah. Okay. Is it anything that you fear?
Going back to prison and God. My greatest fear is someone just really violate me to the point where I feel I don't have no other options but to take another man's life. You know, and that's my greatest fear. My greatest fear is going back to prison for taking another person's life. That's my greatest fear. So I try to stay out the way as much as possible and stay humble as much as possible. And, you know, everybody each his own. That's my greatest fear overall, is staying free.
Okay.
Trying to stay free.
So from when you went in and came out, you know, what was different for you?
Oh, what was different? When I went in and came out, a lot of things were different. People's mentalities was different. People's wasn't the same like it was when I left. Everybody that moved on. People's trying to have something now. People's ain't bent on living a life of aggression and crime overall. People's trying to be prosperous in life, build wealth, and things like that. And what was my greatest challenge when I got out? Everybody asked me what was my hardest adjustment. My hardest adjustment when I got out was trying to make money the legitimate way. You know, I can't supplement my income through hustling or drug dealing and things like that. So every dollar that I make and every move I make is a legitimate move with no form of criminality intentions.
Yeah.
You know, so what I consider as living check by check.
Yeah. So besides, you know, the gang life, was there anything that you wanted to be?
Yeah. You know, my father always wanted me to be a fireman. I always wanted to be a running back in NFL, you know, but my attitude was too bad for the coaches. You know, I always got into it with the coaching staff because I always had this leadership mentality, and I didn't want nobody to tell me nothing because I was so used to telling everybody else things, you know. So I always wanted to be a running back. That's just like right now. You know, throughout the course of my prison, I want to be a life coach and a motivational speaker, you know, and a self-appointed psychologist, you know, trying to find out some of the reasons why the behavior patterns is like it is among young African-American males and young African-American females.
Yeah. Would you say that the way the gangs and the crime is going on today is any different than it was, you know, when you were out, before you went to prison?
Yeah, it's totally different. If people's, you know, you might can't glorify something, but you can give reverence to it. You know, the gangs nowadays and the street gangs nowadays is totally different from the gangs when I was coming up. It was more unification and more discipline. People weren't trying to destroy one another at all time high, even though it was a lot of gang bang, a lot of killings, this and that, true enough. But it was respect. There's no respect now. You know, there's no respect. You know, these individuals is literally killing babies and innocent people. One thing about it, I can say back in the days, when you get into it with a person, that individual was trying to take you out.
Yeah.
They weren't trying to take this person out, this person around you, and just letting loose with a Draco. They was at you. They gonna make sure they got their man. Yeah. Now, a lot of innocent people just dying all at these homecomings and events and things because people just walking up, just shooting, hoping that they hit the person that they looking for with no respect to person.
Yeah. And it's sad.
Yeah, it's real sad, man. It's sad, man, because, you know, even though I don't condone no form of black on black crime among one another, period, in no form, no fashion. But it's sad, man, how too many innocent people's losing their lives, and the person that you're getting into it is still alive, and you going on doing hard time or whatever going on. You know what I'm saying? It's sad, man. Yeah. It's real sad.
So any last thing you want to say to people that's thinking
Yeah,
about getting into a gang,
uh,
that's 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Any last words for those people?
yeah, I want to say to individuals, you know what I'm saying? Even though I did spend my time among the Black Gangster Disciples, I want to tell individuals, man, try to be yourself. It is not right nowadays. You know what I'm saying? Try to be yourself, be your own man. You a man or a woman before anything, and get yourself together. Get yourself together. Stay away from individuals who's not prosperous. Stay away from individuals who don't have nothing legit to offer you, don't have nothing positive to offer you. Stay away from them type of individuals. When you make your friends, choose your friends appropriately. Choose someone who's on the right track, who trying to get their life together, who trying to build credit, who trying to build wealth, who trying to become a business owner and things like that. It's no success and no future in the life of crime. Yeah. The only thing that you gonna get indulging in unrighteousness in the life of crime is either death or prison. That's it.
Okay. Well, I really appreciate this interview. We had to make it work some way, but maybe, down the line, maybe a year from now or so, we can get another interview in, just to update, just to check on you and everything, and then see how you're doing.
Right. Well, they can follow me on my TikTok page. I got my TikTok page, King Kim, Facebook, Kim Griffin. You know what I'm saying? They can follow me on there. I got my YouTube channel, Kim Griffin. So I'm going to stay in touch. I'm going to let everybody know what my prosperities are since being released August the 15th of 2022 after doing 31 years in prison. Like I said, I went in when I was 19 and got out when I was 50.
Yeah.
I missed all my 20s, all my 30s, and all my 40s. But one thing that I can say, it's a blessing that I did live to see out. Like you said, it was some days that hit me like, man, I'm not going to never leave this institution. I'm not going to never leave prison. But getting over the hump of those pessimistic thoughts, I stayed optimistic, and here I am in my freedom right now. And thank God that I am free.
Yeah, and YouTube could be lucrative for you, because I know you have a lot of stories that you can tell in your 31 years. And
oh yeah,
people like content like that. So if you just start uploading videos of stories, that could be another source of income for you once you meet the requirements.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna start doing. I don't know why I haven't been started, but I'm gonna start doing that, man. I don't want to scare nobody with some of the stories I got, because I got some mean ones, man. And I know how to put it in there, because man, I've seen some stuff, man, and some things that I'd be afraid to talk about.
Yeah.
Like I said, prison is not really meant for no one, but it's good that we have prison, because individuals who doing nonsensical killings and taking innocent lives, and pedophiles who messing with children and messing with women and raping innocent women and things like that, yeah, they do need to be in prison. Yeah. But a person who trying to defend themselves by all means, or their family by all means, or whatever, and things like that, you got to always give those individuals a second chance if they do fall to prison. Yeah. But it is a need for prison, because you got some pathetic peoples out here, man, messing with these children and these babies. They really need to be locked away.
Did you ever have a cellie that was like really, that done something like really, really unspoken or horrific, that's like probably made you kind of scared?
Well, I ain't never been scared. I done been around individuals who had triple lives with 145 years stacked onto it, and who done committed some heinous and atrocious crimes and things like that. It wasn't nothing fearful about that. But now the individuals that we found out that did something to babies, raped and killed babies and killed their own mothers and things like that, those individuals possibly may lose their lives in prison. So that's why they end up running to PC, protected custody, and things like that. Those individuals cannot stay in general population, no way.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. But hopefully soon we can get a part 2 I really appreciate this.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for having me on. And like I said, man, it was a pleasure for getting on here, being able to articulate my story, maybe to reach someone and change someone and deter them from the life of crime. Thank you.
Yes, sir.